Okay.
All right. So this is our Zoom session where we're brainstorming about the principal as a technology coach. And the first thing
Mm,
that we're going to talk about is the role model, the principal as a role model for technology.
okay.
And
All righty.
what's your what's everybody's thoughts on that?
Okay. I'll start. I can't. I think the best way to role model is to use it yourself, and that is through their own presentations that they do, maybe at meetings, using emails and social media. They can role model through um, participating with our your technology teams. They can emphasize the use of technology, in our classroom, and as well as show their support by budgeting for technology. And so I just believe their overall use of technology and their support of it is the way they role model.
Yes, I agree too. And I like that you said that they use the technology themselves. Not my principal that I have right now, I feel like she's really good at leading our meetings with new technology each time. And she shows us things that we can really use in our classrooms. And, she doesn't really, say, oh, this is something you can use in your classroom, but she'll let us know where she got this technology from. And, it's just good ideas. And she'll even have us participate. There was one technology that she used where we could text answers and all the answers would pop up on the board. And it was just so neat. And the words that more people responded with would get bigger. And it was just neat. And, I could see using that, in a upper grades classroom. And then, yeah, just to be knowledgeable about the technology that we have, and it's ever changing. So just to be a role model in taking professional development courses to learn about new technology.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with, I like how you said making sure that there's money budgeted for technology. I know at my particular school, we actually budgeted to purchase smart boards before the county purchased them for the entire county as well. And we always put together an initiative, like we have 60 iPads available on a daily basis for all of our students. We have numerous laptops available. We just, with the one-to-one initiative, got a lot of laptops for our fourth grade, and then we lost our fifth grade this year because we opened a new intermediate school. And then also, just like the technology that I used in my beginning of the year assessment grade cam, my principal did purchase that for our entire school. So now that's a resource that's available for everybody. Just, making sure that there's money there to continue moving forward, because it is ever changing, like you said, Kristen.
Mm-hmm. And then something else I was kind of reading about, because I was looking at, a few articles about principals as a technology coach. And one of the things it said was that the principal sets the vision for the whole technology use in the school. And, this just got me thinking, and, it's important that the principals understand how technology can enhance your learning in your classroom.
I know that in my school, I'm a part of a MTAC committee, which I'm not exactly sure of the entire acronym, but it's something to do with technology. The T stands for technology. But so we have like a technology committee that comes forth, and it's someone from every grade level talking about things that we would like to see implemented, things we would like to have that we don't have. And so I don't know if you guys have anything like that in your school, but maybe that would be a way in our future schools that we could implement like a technology committee to help make sure that we're moving forward with that, because I know my principal participates in those meetings as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that would be very beneficial. We have a technology committee at our school, but it's kind of like one of those professional learning communities that we found that we really don't, we're not really doing correctly. And, you know, I think they meet ever so often, but I don't think our principal has too big of a role in that. And it's more, I think they talk more about like the yearbook and, you know, just things like, you know, like the technical stuff that's going on in the school, but it's not really concerning student learning or how you can use it in your classroom. So I felt the same way when I was reading kind of about, you know, creating something like that in your school, about how, well, ours is kind of lacking, or, you know, and it could be improved.
Yeah. One other thing that, you know, a former assistant principal used to do when I was at the middle school level, she would share what she saw in other classrooms. Because if principals are doing evaluation, they get to see a range and variety of technology being used by different teachers. Mm-hmm. So they kind of see best practices, and then they're in a good position where they see everyone's use of technology, and they can make those suggestions to other teachers, and you know, encourage other teachers to use some of the technology that they might not be familiar with.
Yes, I think that's a great point. Mm-hmm. I love knowing what other teachers are doing in their classrooms, so I can steal some of their really good ideas.
Yeah,
I just love that, and you know, sometimes I feel like, you know, sometimes it's easy to get competitive, you know, or some teachers get competitive with each other, but, you know, it's just better for the students when we're more collaborative and we can come together and learn from each other.
Right.
And then, so those were good topics about how the principal can be the role model in the school. So what do you guys think about the principal being like a motivator and a cheerleader for technology? I feel like we kind of touched on a little bit, you know, being a role model for that, but to just motivate staff, how we can move into that conversation.
Well, I think just a way to motivate is just constantly promoting it. I know, like at my school, we have to turn in our lesson plans, and so whenever we have like a way that you could, and usually like our principal will make notes on our lesson plans for us and just say, hey, great job here, or I really like this, just something kind of quick, because I mean, she's doing it for the whole school, but just being like, hey, great use of technology, just simply saying good job, because sometimes we get caught up in this world of data that we don't necessarily take a step back and just say, hey, but you're doing really great at this. And so just making sure that we point out those great technology things that are going on in our classroom.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I really like from a principal is for them to be supportive of what I'm trying that might be new, and to be understanding that it may not go right the first couple of times that I'm trying it out, especially yes, and especially in technology, because, you know, it always seems like something can go wrong when you're using it. So I think, you know, just for a principal to, you know, not reprimand you for, you know, they walk in your classroom and they notice you trying something new, and it may not quite work out the first couple of times that you're trying it. But, you know, just to realize that mistakes are going to happen, and that they're encouraging you to still take those risks, because as long as, you know, student learning is your end goal, and, you know, it could really benefit your students.
Yes.
And another thing, I think, if they provide staff development for digital use, that's, you know, providing the training, because you have teachers who may be, you know, your older teachers who did not start with technology.
Yes.
And those are the ones that's a little more intimidating. Usually students, teachers that are freshly out of college, and when I say freshly, I mean maybe within a decade, who really was taught technology as part of their curriculum. They know technology, but older teachers may not embrace it, and a lot of times they don't embrace it because they simply don't understand it, don't know it. But a principal could really encourage those teachers who may not be as savvy and provide the training. And what we do at our school, like with certain areas of technology, she'll pick 5 teachers that is considered our gurus. So if you don't know how to do something, you could go to one of these 5 teachers that have gone through extensive training, and they'll help. So that's a way you can motivate those who may not, be as savvy as the others.
Right. And I think it's so easy to quickly get behind in technology, and because it's just changing so fast. There's times where I have to go find, even though I'm a younger teacher, I still have to go find some answers to some questions I have, or even sometimes my students teach me how to do new things. That's just their world. They're around it. They've been around it ever since they were little. And even my kindergartners, they can teach me new things about technology and about how to do things on iPads or iPods. And it's so funny for them to teach me something new on that with that technology.
Now, you're exactly.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Yes, I was going to say you're exactly right, because my students are always telling me something new about technology, and I encourage it, and I get really excited about it, and I really encourage them to share, new things that they've learned. And another thing I was going to say from the cheerleader perspective is that I think principals can praise their staff for their use of technology.
Yes.
Especially during their evaluations, when they see teachers using it, comment on it, praise for it, and let them know that we love what you're doing. This is wonderful, and maybe even give shout outs in staff meetings about the teachers that are embracing technology.
Yes, and and I think it's always really motivating when a principal asks you to share what you're doing with other staff, and kind of like what you talked about earlier, making your gurus, and so that's just real motivating and makes you feel like you're doing something right, and to get that little bit of recognition is always nice to come from your principal. Well, we're doing good on time, ladies.
Yay.
Wonderful.
What do you guys think about the principal being the facilitator of, I guess, technology? And I guess we've talked a lot about, them communicating the uses, and, just making sure that everybody's on the same page, I guess, when it comes to technology. And we talked about maybe finding teacher leaders to help.
Well, I feel like now, because I think there's a generation gap. I guess that's the correct term, but there's just a gap where it wasn't so much the technology age, because a lot of people who are your principals and leaders just kind of are not that they're not technology savvy, but they're just not as familiar with it.
Right.
Whereas now you have some younger teachers and some people who are going through who have had more experience in the classroom with technology. And so they have more background information almost, so that they know kind of more of how to use it. Because I know my principal hasn't been in the classroom for 12 years. And if you think about that, within that 12 years, that's when we got smart boards implemented. We were still using overhead projectors and things like that. And it wasn't that they weren't familiar with things, they just didn't have as much access. So that makes them less familiar with the new technology. And so it's just almost like they have to pull in people who are familiar. I think they have to find those teachers who are those gurus, like Cynthia mentioned. And that's a huge part in principals who have been a principal for a while. Whereas us going in now, we could even share, hey, we know how to Zoom. You could meet in a Zoom session and share some information and just do some things like that, because we're just getting all these more experiences of actually using the technology in the classroom. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah.
Yes, that's a good point.
And then just to go back to kind of how they can facilitate technology use, it kind of goes back to our needs assessment that we did, you know, to assess, you know, your strengths and your weaknesses when it comes to technology. When I was thinking about my school, maybe like 5 years ago, we decided as a school, one of our school improvement plan items was going to be to get a smart board in everybody's classroom. And our principal at the time was a big, she hit that up, and, you know, and she went out and, you know, found or got the our PTO to get interested in that to raise funds. And then once we got the technology, slowly, we got it, like, I think it was by hallway, and then over the course of 3 to 5 years now, every classroom in our school has a smart board. But, you know, just for her to recognize that, you know, this was a need for us with technology growing, and, you know, because those smart boards are wonderful tools, and they really, I feel like they enhance learning because they're so engaging for students, and they get to move things and manipulate things. And so just to assess what your school needs as a whole and then find a way to make it happen, I think is a way a principal can facilitate the technology in their school.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And not only facilitated from the teacher standpoint, but from the student, creating a whole culture of a technology-driven school, that we're going to stay current with technology, and help both the student and the teacher develop in the area of technology. So, and I think, again, the way that the principal can make that easier by the support programs, the training, to the resources, and helping every classroom really embrace technology. One of the things our district did was invest in technology solutions. I don't know if do you all have that?
I don't think so. I don't think I've heard of that.
I haven't either.
Technology is actually wonderful. It's where you have this big old screen. It replaces the projector, but you have a big flat screen TV in the front of your room, and your computer is attached to it. So you can do everything from that big flat screen TV. So you no longer need a projector. You no longer need an overhead, and everything is right there on your computer. So you just go to the files. You can teach from it. You can demonstrate from it. And it's just really, really interactive.
Yeah.
And teachers love it. They absolutely love it.
I bet.
Is it touchscreen?
Are they expensive? Yes.
Well, is it touchscreen so that the students can manipulate it?
No, it's not. It's
okay.
more. This is more for the teacher than it is the student.
Okay.
That comes handy though, you know, like just doing presentations though, and and showing things. That's neat. I've seen, now you've explained it. I think I've seen them in classrooms, like just like if I've seen them in a blog or something. But that is neat.
Right. And then one of the things that we have really played around with at the high school level is BYOD. I don't know if y'all have done that. It's called Bring Your Own Device.
Yes.
Yes.
And all the teachers don't have buy-in to it. Let me say that.
Yeah.
Some like it and some don't.
Right.
And the reason some don't like it is because of the classroom management issues that you may have. Because if they have their own device, it's such a temptation to surf the web, play games, and things like that. So it really, on one end, is engaging and that's the argument for it. They're bringing their devices, they're using their devices. Why not incorporate it into the classroom teaching strategy?
Yeah.
And so my principal made way for anybody who wanted to be a BYOB classroom. We would go through the training, and there's so many things that they can do from their phone. However, it really needs to be controlled. So here again, that was my principal, trying to facilitate more technology for the teachers who wanted to use it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I like that your principal provided training for those teachers. Sometimes, you know, when you're given new technology, sometimes it feels like they're just saying, here you go run with it. And, you know, if you don't know what you're doing with that technology, whatever it is, if it's a laptop or a smart board, it can just end up just taking up space in your classroom and not really being utilized. So that's always good to provide that training for teachers. Our next little topic is the principal as the leader of a learning organization, and maybe going back to the technology committee at your school, Felicia. But do you have anything like that at your school, Cynthia?
I have a technology leader?
Like a technology committee or something?
No, we do not. Now, when I was at middle school, we actually had a technology facilitator, and she was awesome. I mean, she went around from room to room. She provided our training. She did staff development, and I learned most of what I know from that facilitator. And but at the high school level, it's a little more challenging because we are so stretched out at the high school level because of people coaching clubs and things like that. We have less opportunities for those types of things, but we don't have one.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, ours isn't really anything that I feel that's really beneficial to student learning or, you know, making technology useful in our classroom. But I think for a principal to kind of head that up and maybe lead that in a way, or even being just a part of one, like you said, Felicia, and you know, being able to, you know, ask teachers maybe to be a part of that committee and go maybe have like little meetings or workshops where teachers can come and, you know, learn about new technology to use in their classrooms.
Mm-hmm. And you know, the district normally has a lot of training as well. I know ours does, but my principal never ever talks about it, and that might be something that you could do.
Right.
But we rarely hear what's offered by the district mentioned.
I know. I feel like my district's the same way. I mean, if you get online and you search for all these workshops, they're happening and they're going on. But unless you're searching for them, I mean, you really don't hear about it. They're not really, you know, publicized, or, you know, unless it's something that you need, like it's required.
Mm-hmm.
And my district actually sends out weekly emails of like, hey, this is coming up, or hey, this is coming up. And so you can go on, we use My Learning Plan. Do you guys use My Learning Plan?
I've never heard of that.
It's just a way to track your CEUs and the workshops that you attend, and so we get credit for everything. And so it like they just constantly are like, hey, this is being offered, and these are being offered for math, and this is being offered for science, and technology is one of those.
That's neat. And see, I think I think that's a good idea. And even for a principal, just to know what's going on, and maybe if your district doesn't send out those emails, maybe the principal takes that on and sends out emails saying, hey, here's a new technology workshop if anybody's interested in attending. But yeah, I like how your district does that.
Yeah, our district does a lot of things really well from the teacher perspective. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm in the know of a lot of things in a timely manner, and I like that. And I've worked in other districts where that's not necessarily the case. So I've been really impressed with that so far.
And what district are you in?
I'm in Buncombe County.
Buncombe County.
So Asheville.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And our last little topic is the principal as a resource provider, and we kind of touched on that as well, just while we've been talking and brainstorming. But we talked about finding funds to be sure that we have what we need to be able to stay up with all the latest technology, and then just I felt like going back to that, assessing your needs so you know what you need to be providing to your teachers, and then just providing like workshops, even just at the school level, just providing those things that would help with technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. The principal really does have a pretty decent budget to work with. And, a lot of times we don't get to see where those funds are allocated, but they do get to choose how they allocate some of the resources.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that every principal should make sure that they have a healthy portion allocated to technology.
Yes.
And for us, we just became a magnet school, and a magnet school get a ton of money. And so I know my principal is planning to invest in more Chromebooks and make sure that every classroom can access to those Chromebooks if they need them, and get more technology to make sure the school is covered. Because there was a time that teachers needed Chromebooks or access to a lab, and they just couldn't get to one.
Right.
So she is doing that to make sure that all students have that availability.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And I think also just not forgetting that technology crosses all disciplines, essentially. Making sure that that, hey, how are you going to utilize technology in language arts? How are you going to use it in writing? How are you going to use it in science and math, which is almost kind of where we think of it more, but just implementing it in all the areas, because I think students need to see that technology is not just playing a video game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Playing an app.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one other thing too, I'll add, we talk about a resource provider. I don't know how you all understood that, but I don't see that as just having money per se. But when I think of a person as a resource, they know where to tell you to go.
Yes.
They can direct you to training. They can direct you to conferences. I had a principal that told us about technology conferences. She was just very up on, if she didn't know it, she could tell you where to go.
Yes.
And she just was very, very knowledgeable and resourceful as to directing you to the places to get the technology training or enhancement that you could use to better your skills.
Yes.
I agree with that too. I mean, just making sure that you're allowing your teachers all of the available resources.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great conference, the technology conference they have in Greensboro every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's huge. And I've lost touch with the information, but I'm going to Google it. But it used to be a phenomenal conference, and it really kept you abreast of everything that was new coming out.
Right.
And I used to go and make recommendations to our career and technical education director,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the stuff she would actually get based on my recommendations.
And see, I think that's great too when a principal listens to their teachers, and when you come back and you say, hey, I saw this great technology, I think it would be great for us to try. Kind of like Felicia, your principal bought the grade cam. I mean, that's just, I think that's important for a principal to really value their opinion or a teacher's opinion when they're in the classroom and they're utilizing this technology, or if they see a need for something that would impact student learning.
Right.
I think I'm familiar with, is the technology conference, is it held at like the big convention center?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think we used to, and I used to work in Jackson County, and we would send our like technology director and then the technology facilitator for the county, and then all the librarians would get together and go, because they're kind of the technology facilitators for the school. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe our principal actually sent our librarian last year to the conference at my current school. So, and I've heard lots of great things about it. So.
You know, and I want to say that my librarian went as well. She learned, and I don't know if this was in Greensboro, but she went to a conference and she learned about something called Makerspace.
Yes, did she go last year?
I think so.
We had a workshop on Makerspace.
Okay. Anyway, she's doing it in our library, and it's just really neat. And the kids get to go in there and they get to create things. And I mean, it's just wonderful. And they can, you know, she's got iPads set up and where they can, you know, go around and scan like QR codes. And then she's got a studio set up where they can come in and they can record like a presentation about something that they've learned, or make a movie about something that they've learned. And I mean, the kids just love it. And it's just neat. They love that stuff, and that's making learning better, and it's, you know, it's making them really have a memorable moment.
Yeah. Well, something as simple as putting a QR code on like a note card, and I did this in kindergarten. I taught them how to use the QR code reader. Which was a lot easier for them than it was for me, or not surprisingly, actually. But I would let them scan it, and maybe it would take them to a game online that I wanted them to play because it fit with what we were learning in the classroom, or maybe it was something as simple as like a short video that I found for them that kind of extended their learning, and that was really neat too.
And I would add, you know, this is kind of a overall statement with all of them. I think that principals really need to know their staff and get to know, you know, who's doing what and who's good at what, and encourage collaboration. Because I love learning platforms. I teach from Haiku. I don't know if you all know what that is. And I would get teacher after teacher after teacher coming to me saying, well, show me how you use this. And I'm like, who's sending you all to me? And it was my principal. Because she had gotten wind that I was very good at, you know, creating online platforms. I've been using them since I've been in high school. And so she would send people to me. They was like, well, go see Dixon, go see Dixon. And so, so she made it her point to really know who's good at what, who's doing what, and would encourage the other teachers to collaborate.
Right, and that's kind of like her way of saying kudos to you because I'm sending you more people.
Yeah.
And you know, that kind of just goes back to a principal being able to utilize their resources. I mean, your best resources in your building are your people. And
that's exactly right.
Yes, and you know, to be able to say, well, you know what, this person's good at this. You go talk to them, and this person's really good at this. I want them to lead a little workshop for us. I mean, that's the greatest form of like a compliment from people that I can think of.
Right.
Well, we've got about 4 minutes left. We're doing really well.
We are doing really well.
Good.
And we've covered
out of 3.
Yes. Third time's a charm.
Wow. We're getting good at this.
We are. But does anybody have any closing remarks of technology overall, or any thoughts that you have of a principal with involving technology?
Well, I really think it was a good topic to discuss.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think
Because
sometimes it's a scary topic for some people, and it's just because we're unfamiliar with it.
Yeah.
And the unknown is always a little scary. So just keeping that in the back of the mind of the principal is important, because it's not going to be as easy for everybody. But what can you do to make it manageable and essentially less scary?
Right. And we've all been taught we need to use technology in the classroom, but I guess I really hadn't even thought about the principal as a technology coach until we had to deal with this topic.
Yeah.
The same way. I was like, well, you know what? This really didn't cross my mind. I mean, there's just so much as a principal that we'll be doing. But yeah, I think that's a great point, Cynthia. I felt the same way.
Well, and I thought too, I think both Cynthia and Kristen, you both kind of mentioned how your principal kind of or maybe your assistant principal, Cynthia, I'm not sure, but you were saying how they would just do like little things in the staff meetings, just a little way to implement it. Not saying that they have to necessarily do a full-blown technology workshop,
right?
But just, hey, something I found, let's use it today.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, we've got 2 minutes. I think we did a great job covering all of our topics with our time allotted. But
we did.
Yes. And then I have to make a reflection essay and upload it. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, we just have to reflect on what we talked about, I think.
I think so. Well, it was good talking with you ladies.
Yes.
Likewise.
We'll talk soon when we do our next task review.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, you all have a wonderful weekend.
You do the same. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.